Hey guys, it's time to make a team tier list for version 3.4 because a lot of things changed. There are a whole lot of characters that are viable, and therefore there are tons of teams that are also viable, and it can lead to things getting a little bit overwhelming and we losing track and an overview of where characters actually belong, which teams they are played in, what the best in slot lineups look like, and what is actually truly the meta in version 3.4. So that's why I'm doing this video. Let's go. We starting off with the top 3 right out of the gate. Normally I know you wouldn't do this, you would save the top 3 for the very end of the video. I get it, right? But I think the top 3, at least the top 2, should be very obvious, and everyone who doesn't live under a rock knows what at least the top 2 teams in the metagame, even in version 3.4, are. It is of course Bloodtide and Dynamo, right? Surprise, surprise, I know, what a plot twist. Now, I have to make a little bit of a disclaimer here. You have to know 2 things. First of all, of course, this is about version 3.4, and we only ever gonna use 1 character per team. We're not gonna multiply characters and use 1 character in multiple different teams. And we want you to establish multiple of these teams, and if we put like Marsha in 3 different teams, then you would only be able to play 1 of those teams in the metagame, and that's not how we roll. That is, for example, why we have Medicine Pocket instead of Robushka in this Bloodtide lineup, because we need Robushka for a different team. Same reason why Esra is here instead of Kiparina, because we need Kiparina for a different team. Okay, with these 2 things out of the way, we now can establish the place number 3, and it is a pretty interesting team, I should say, because it is brand new. It has 3 brand new characters in it. It is of course our new impromptu Plantime team with Paper Heron, Anan Lee, Regulus and 2 Fairy. Anan Lee receives a Euphoria update in version 3.3, makes her an impromptu type of character. Then Paper Heron is gonna be the limited character released in version 3.4, and 2 Fairy receives her Euphoria update, making her also an impromptu character in version 3.4. Now, why is Regulus here, you might ask, and not LF? That is because 2 Fairy gives us AP +1, and that is all we need. That's why Aleph can be saved for a different team. Also, with the Euphoria update for 2 Fairy, as I talked about in my previous video, her ultimate now inflicts a debuff called Neuralgia. This debuff leads to your impromptu incantations, dealing much more damage to that target with Neuralgia on it. And that's why we have to have Regulus to direct our otherwise random distributed damage onto the target that is inflicted with the debuff Neuralgia. That's why Regulus is here, and that is why she's very important. Of course, you could replace Regulus with Voyager, but Regulus is a tiny little bit better, and therefore she makes the cut and is the best in slot in this new impromptu lineup. And those are gonna be our top 3 teams in the metagame in version 3.4. That is guaranteed and set in stone. Before we continue, guys, I want to share a, at least to me, very funny thought, because I already know that some people that are watching here are going completely nuts right now, because they be like, "Or Ezio is not in the top 3 in the metagame, this tier list fucking sucks, bro." It is, of course, always. It is absolute comedy gold to me. It happens every single time. I'm always laughing my ass off. That shit never gets old. But anyways, now continuing, like after the top 3, I can tell you which teams will be coming in. I am not confident enough yet to tell you in which exact order these teams will come in. Like the top 3 is set in stone, that is guaranteed, right? There's gonna be no question, no arguing about that. But following up with like place rank number 4, 5, 6, that is a little bit different to put into the correct order yet, because these lineups consists of very new characters, very new Euphorias, and I have to see them in their respective lineup in action first before I can confidently put them in order. But let me show you the teams that will be coming in. We of course have the new follow-up attack team with Chen Higuang, Liang Yue, and our duo of Flutterpage and Fatutu. That is going to be a top tier team in the meta and the best follow-up team in the game. Guaranteed, right? For sure, no question about it. Then we have our previous rank number 3 with our initial impromptu lineup consisting of Barcelona, Voyager, LF, and Skipperina. That team is of course gonna stay super strong and very viable, and we are heading into a double impromptu meta, believe it or not. And of course we have our new super strong Afterglow lineup. And yeah, now you can see, right? We have to wait and see how good Liang and Chen Higuang will perform. Will it be good enough for rank 4? Or will Beryl, Isolde, Six and Marsha actually take the place and be better than the lineup, than the follow-up lineup? We will wait and see, right? Is impromptu, this initial impromptu lineup, still gonna be better than Afterglow? Or yeah, like who of these 3 teams will actually take the cake and be placed at rank 4? It's between these 3 teams. They battle for the subsequent ranks, right? 4, 5 and 6. If you would want me to make a guess, or like, I think the follow-up attack team here, this is gonna be the worst out of these 3. And then it's between the initial impromptu lineup and Afterglow. It's probably Afterglow will be edging out a little bit. The problem that Afterglow has is, yes, we use the character 6 with his Euphoria update that he gets in version 3.4 in his lineup. It is not, or he is not, a true Afterglow character though. We only use him in this team because we desperately want and need to free up Flutterpage to play her with then either Chen Higuang and Liang Yue, or with Calabauna and Anionala. We need Flutterpage. She cannot stay in this Afterglow lineup. And the best possible replacement, the only viable replacement for her, is gonna be 6 in version 3.4. That is why I'm not confident in this team yet, right? Maybe 6 will do the job like just perfectly fine, and I'm underestimating him here a little bit. That is a total possibility that can happen. But since, like, I'm going by the logic here that this team is not truly full yet. It still lacks a member. The final piece of the puzzle is not here for that Afterglow lineup yet. That is what I think when I look at 6. He will be played somewhere else in the end, not in Afterglow. And that's why I would probably give the cake to the impromptu lineup still. Actually, I know, boring, you know, I agree, but I think this team is still gonna be too strong and a little bit better at least than Afterglow. And that's why I would put it at rank number 4 if you would truly want to rank me to rank these teams, right? If you're like, hey, like, tell me what the fuck is rank 4, bro, what are you doing? Then I would say it is this impromptu lineup, and then rank 5 would go to Afterglow, and number 6 would be the follow-up attack team around Chen Higuang and Liang Yue. I want to talk to you about a whole bunch of more teams, and yeah, even a bunch of whole more characters. As you can maybe see here, the meta is gigantic, right? So many good teams, so many good characters, and lots and lots of viable stuff. And that is one reason again why I want to make this video, to make it easier, to have a better overview, to keep track of things a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of more teams here. Calabauna, Anionala with Flutty and Tutu, right? That is the lineup. That is of course, it is super viable, and I see a lot of people saying that, hey, I have Anionala P5. I am gonna play Anionala with her upcoming Euphoria update for sure, and then I'm gonna skip Higuang and Liang because of that. That is of course something that you should absolutely do, right? If you have Anionala P5, you're gonna play Anionala P5 with Calabauna, Fatutu and Flutterpage, and then you're gonna skip Higuang and Liang, right? That is needless to explain. Of course, you do not let your P5 Anio, if you have a P5, collect dust, right? Of course you wouldn't do that. And there is a similar scenario here when it comes to our rank up team, because the rank up team fell off of a cliff because a very strong argument for this rank up team right here, consisting of Marcus, Beth, Argus or Mercuria and Via. A very strong argument for this team, and why it was so good is because it is the only team in the entire game that deals very effective damage against plant afflators, right? But yeah, this team is irrelevant in context of us getting a new better plant afflators archetype team with the new impromptu lineup based around Paper Heron and An Lee. But if you have this team already accomplished, right, especially if you already play this team with Hisabef, then you do not need another plant archetype team, and that would open you the door to skip Paper Heron and An Lee to save bunnies for other stuff that you might want, right? Needless to explain, you don't need to play double plant. That wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that and get that out of the way real quick as well. There is another team that I want to mention that is a little bit of a hybrid, and it would of course lead to you, I explained that in my previous video as well, it would lead to you not being able to play follow-up because you occupy Fatutu. And it would lead to you not being able to play Dynamo either because it occupies Sharon, right? But Brume, Anyolala, Sharon and Fatutu is also a very, very, very strong team. And yeah, it could be considered, yeah, like even like top 4, top 5, top 6, something like that. In that kind of realm is what this team plays at. But it is super, super inconvenient because you cannot play follow-up and you cannot play Dynamo if you decide to play this team, and it would limit your meta game team output, so to speak. You have to keep in mind that you can flex this roster a little bit around, right? You can play this with Brume, and you can use Corvus as the main DPS here, and then you use the sustain of your choice. Then it doesn't have to be Fatutu. Fatutu would only be here if we play this with Anyonala, because we then have a double synergy going here with Brume and Sharon covering the Dynamo synergy, and we have an additional synergy with follow-up consisting of Anyonala and Fatutu, right? This is what this team is going for, and it all comes very well together there. And of course there's another team I want to talk to you about. It never stops. We will be here for 2 hours, so grab some popcorn. I'm just kidding. This is the last team we're gonna talk about. Here is of course our ultimate archetype team that is also gonna fare super duper well. Honestly, it might even be better than this follow-up team with Chen Higuang and Liang Yue. Who knows, right? Maybe it will, maybe it will not. The difference will not be too huge, and the ultimate archetype team based around Recoleta, Melania, Getian and Robushka is gonna be super, super viable. If you don't play this ultimate archetype team, then of course you can flex things around. You can put Robushka into the Blood Eye team then to replace Medicine Pocket, excuse me, right then and there. You can, for example, if you only decide to play one impromptu lineup, you can slot Kiparina into the Dynamo archetype team and have a better sustain in Ezra there, you know, things like that. You can exchange Regulus and Voyager, of course, like it always was. Stuff like that. You don't have to play Fatutu and Flutter Page with Chen Higuang and Liang necessarily. You can also do this with Carla and Anyo, for example, right? And there you go. And here you have everything in a convenient way in just one picture to easily look at, you know, to not lose overview and have a good grasp on the situation, and you know the top of the food chain in version 3.4. As I said, like the top 3 is set in stone. After that, the other 4 teams that you see here on your screen, you can put them in any order that you like. If you truly want me and would force me to rank these teams, I go for the impromptu lineup here based around Barcelona at place 4. 5 goes to Afterglow, 6 goes to the new follow-up attack team around Liang Yue, and then Ultimate takes rank number 7. We talked about everything else as well, so there you go. By the way, I have created a gaming channel. It is called Strawhead Gaming, and there I will cover the video game Arknights Enfield once it releases on January 22nd. So if you are interested in seeing footage and me covering Arknights Enfield, please check out my channel. Link is in the description down below, and leave a follow there. But that's it for me for now. I hope this video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on this channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server, link in the description down below as well. Have a great day, take care of yourselves, and we love this game.